the reports are an expose of the sorry nature of things that are happening on the ground. And when I read through these reports, I see a replica of what is happening in my own county of Busia. It's really unbelievable that we have got these big markets and hardly any services being rendered by the county government. You even go to big markets like Malaba in Busia, and the last time I checked, there was no public toilet. No public toilet. So people have to go and look for private facilities to help themselves out. Madam Speaker, markets are one of the core functions of county governments. And markets are supposed to be major revenue sources for the county, our devolved systems of government. But when you look at what is going on across the board, not just in Vihiga and Bungoma, or in Busia, or in Kakamega, or in Tana Rivers, the distinguished senator who has spoken before me has said, you find that they are largely neglected. We look at the world today, and we keep on saying that the way forward is trade. And how are you going to have trade if we are not having trade in areas which are properly governed, properly managed, and some which can secure even the quality of the items that people buy? Some markets are extremely dirty, unfit for human occupation. And I'm not talking about, if you just go to a few kilometers from Parliament here, down in Marikiti, down wherever, you find the markets are so dirty. You wonder what the county governments are doing, yet they collect a lot of revenue from there. Why they can't reinvest, I don't understand. On-source revenue from these markets is opaque. We can't know what is going on. And you'll find that the declarations, as Senator Osoti has put it, are hardly clear. They don't make logic. Like the figures they are shown from his own Vihiga County. The figures don't add up. And yet this is happening, and we have got institutions like the anti-corruption, we have institutions like the auditor, what do you call it? The police. We have got an economic crimes unit in the CID. I've never understood why we have left it to civilians, headed by a retired bishop, to deal with economic crimes in this country. Under Article 247, Parliament is empowered to set up a special police unit if it needs to deal with an issue. And I don't think that police unit was supposed to be the Anti-Corruption Commission. The police unit that is supposed to be set up by Parliament has to be under the Inspector General. So this idea that you have got a law enforcement organ out of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is one of the things we need to look seriously into. First of all, they are very thin, spread thin, they are not there. Like in Busia, they don't even have an office. You have to go to Bungoma to access one. So how do they enforce the law in Busia? Yet you have got a police station almost in every sub-county headquarters. At least you have got a good police station there. So I'm seriously thinking that to deal with these issues of the proliferation of the theft of public funds, we need to go back and look at the Constitution. Look at Article 79. See what the Anti-Corruption Commission has been set up to do. It is supposed to enforce Chapter 6. Chapter 6 has got nothing to do with crime fighting. Chapter 6 is to enforce a code of conduct. Chapter 6 is a code of conduct. The EACC is supposed to enforce that code of conduct. We go back to the Economic Crimes Act of 2003, I think, where before the constitution was, the current constitution was created and put into force, we had nobody that had been appointed to be fighting corruption. But if you look at our constitution today, matters crime are exclusively to be dealt with by the police. When you go to the CID, they've got a whole department on economic crimes. So the question is, why are we letting the EACC cover up for these people who are messing up? The EACC has no capacity to begin with. There are very few people. Secondly, there are civilians headed by a retired bishop. And you have got all this infrastructure of the DCI across the country that could be open and could be utilized by the people to ensure that we rein in this runaway misappropriation of public funds. The biggest issue with our market is that people pay taxes, they get no services, and that money is not accounted for. We need to get a way of enforcing the law. And to enforce the law, we must. And we must look at the foundational issues that are causing us not to be able to click when it comes to the question of law enforcement in matters of theft. Theft by public servants. You realize these matters of platforms. We have platforms that have been known to be used for stealing from the public, and I've got major cases. We had something which they used to call Web Tribe. Jumbo Pay, Web Tribe, whatever it's called now. You find that rogue governments use it. And after fleecing Nairobi, I think Meru, I think the National Health Insurance Fund, they are now the people supposed to be collecting funds in Busia. So why are these people not being blacklisted and locked away from engaging with the public? They have messed up in Nairobi, they have messed up elsewhere, they have stolen public funds, they are still being allowed to contract with the county governments. We will never get to the bottom of this thing unless we tie this, and we also need to look at these markets. We have got the facility improvement laws that are allowing the facilities to retain funds that they collect to be used to improve those facilities, and only the excess is what goes to the national coffers or the county coffers. Why can't we have an arrangement similar so that we ring-fence money raised in markets to, first of all, provide services for that market? If there's an excess, then that money can be taken to the county revenue fund or elsewhere. So I plead with this House that we consider seriously coming up with a mechanism like what you have done for the health facilities, the facility improvement funds, so that we can have a facility improvement funds or market improvement funds, whatever you want to call it, so that these markets that are producing a lot of money are first of all taken care of from the money they generate before we give that money out to do other things in the county or to do other things in the national government. Maybe that way we'll be able to improve the service delivery and not rely to the money going to the county revenue fund and then coming back. And you look at some of the things that they do, they're highly inflated, substandard works that take place, and at the end of the day, we entrench poverty, because if we can't utilize our resources to create wealth, then we have no business being called leaders in this country. Because the only function a leader has, from where I stand, is to convert resources into wealth. Now, if our people are so resourceful, but they operate in squalor, yet they're generating a lot of wealth, what are we up to? We need to take action. And I want to thank my brother senators from Bungoma and Vihiga for having brought this request for statements that have basically opened the can of worms that is eating up our markets across the country. The other thing about markets is that the national government has taken over the function of building markets from the county governments. There's a lot of money coming in from the national governments to go and build build markets. Why can't that money be channeled through proper lines so that we can know that this money was budgeted for, either as additional grants or whatever it is they are giving to the counties, and then we know clearly what has happened. You just hear that a market is being put up somewhere by the national government. So many hundreds of millions of shillings are being utilized. A contractor is being sent on the ground to begin implementing projects. You don't know how this contractor was funded, was sourced. You don't know what kind of product is supposed to give the people in terms of the market. Sometimes you find markets being located in areas that the traders refuse to patronize, and yet public funds are being spent. So why are we having all this disconnect? I think if the national government wants to assist the county governments, they do so through the normal structures, not in an episodic manner, whereby allocations are being made on the basis of friendship or on the basis of proximity to the president. We have had the question of the broad-based government. When you look at when you ask for the justification for the broad-based government, you are told that the ODM had to intervene to save the Kenya Kwanza government from collapse. I was just trying to look at it as an analogy. If somebody is very sick in a hospital and he needs a blood transfusion, you don't just go for any blood. You can only take blood transfusion from the the type group. They have to be the same type groups. So this is a revelation that the blood group in ODM is the same as the blood group in Kenya Kwanza was very, very important revelation for us. So that because there's no way unless ODM had the same blood group, there's no way it could infuse blood into Kenya Kwanza and give Kenya Kwanza life. So this
Senator Omtatah, what is the link of what you're saying to the markets, the report you're speaking to?
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm trying to tell our people that ODM was supposed to be in the opposition, doing oversighting the government. And yet it was not in the opposition. They had the same blood group as the Kenya Kwanza group, and so it was able to donate blood and give life to Kenya Kwanza. And so when we come back to the issue of markets, I'm trying to say that the oversight of this house is in total confusion. We don't know who is who. And that's why we are failing. We don't know where the opposition is. We don't know where the government is. We don't know who is who. So that's why we find that it's very difficult to enforce oversight when people can just move across and interface and they become take on they become the mirror images of each other that way. So I bring that thing of the blood transfusion to show you that we do not have, for honest, because if ODM did not have the same blood group as Kenya Kwanza, ODM's entry into Kenya Kwanza should have killed Kenya Kwanza. But Kenya Kwanza was stabilized. And so the link I'm trying to bring out is that if we want to do proper oversight, we also need to clean up our politics. We need to have principled politics. We need to have politics that are centered on proper positions, because where Kenya Kwanza had reached, where it was not functional, I would have expected ODM to demand that the Kenya Kwanza government resigns so that we have new elections.
Senator Omtatah.
No, that the Kenya Kwanza...
Can you please make a link? You are contributing to the report of the intergovernmental relations. Is it your view that report is not an oversight report? Can you make a link of what you're saying to the report?
I'm saying that, you see, the markets are now being built in a haphazard manner by the national government without respecting the distinction between the roles of the county government and the national government. And I'm saying when you come into political parties, the distinction between opposition and government is no longer there. So we are so there's that analogy I'm trying to create of blood transfusion. ODM had the same blood group as Kenya Kwanza. That's why it could transfuse blood that saved Kenya Kwanza. Otherwise, ODM should have demanded that Kenya Kwanza resigns so that we have elections and we get to have a new start in this country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Boni Khalwale.